Hello and welcome to the Browns Blitz. Today is Tuesday, January 21st, and this is episode number 35. I'm your host, Rod Bloom, and I have several guests with me today. We're going to try to have a little bit of fun on today's show. There's some things going on with the Browns, but it's the off season, so I thought we'd kind of surprise the guests with a couple exercises here today. First of all, my brother Jeff Bloom is here. Jeff, how are things going with you?
Hey, doing good, Rod. How about you?
Good, real good. And then we are blessed to have Jack McCurry and Anthony Joki here from both the 1085 Gridiron podcast and the Dawgland. Let's bring Jack in first. Jack and I worked together at Big Play. Seemed like a long time ago now, but how's it going, Jack?
It's going well, man. I mean, much like the Browns season, our time at Big Play does seem like an eternity ago. We came into that with high expectations, and much like that Browns season, it turned into an unmitigated disaster. But we've maintained a good friendship, and it's good chatting with you tonight, Rod.
It's good to talk to you as well. And Anthony, how's it going with you?
It's going good. I'm excited to talk to you kind of for the first time, and we're excited to have some fun on this podcast.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this, guys. So we're gonna just kind of talk about just some of the Brown stuff here briefly, what's been going on and everything. This week, I just wanted to bring up OBJ had surgery and he had all that crap going on down in down at the national championship game. Jack, what's your take on all this, and how do you feel about OBJ going into next season?
Yeah, I mean, the stuff in New Orleans, I look at it as OBJ was probably trying to have fun that night. Obviously, it was a big game. LSU playing for the national championship. They ultimately won. I mean, I think he probably had a little bit too much to drink as it pertains to the videos. Him, messing around with the marching band, him trying to post up on Karl Malone, and then obviously the incident with the security officer. It's not a big deal. And I was talking to someone today and they were like, OBJ tries to seem to get all the attention. I don't think he tries to get the attention. I just think with his name, his brand, he's one of the most recognizable, not only NFL players, but athletes on the planet. I mean, the attention's going to come to him. I think it'll be okay. Next year, hopefully with this new offense, hopefully another year with Baker, we see the good OBJ and a healthy OBJ. Hopefully this surgery corrects things. He's more focused. He's more with the team, and hopefully in 2020 he comes back and is the Odell Beckham we expected when we traded for him.
Yeah. So Jeff, are you optimistic about OBJ going forward, or are you ready to move on?
Well, I was thinking while they were in there doing the surgery on the core muscle, that maybe they could shorten his dick so he'd quit stepping on it. Look, I'm old school. Get to the end zone, act like you've been there before. Just go out and prove it on the field. Yes, he's an immensely talented kid, but who needs all the distractions? And I like what Stefanski had to say. We're fine with big personalities as long as it leads to big production. So let's see what he does next year.
Yes. So Anthony, what do you think about this whole thing about about two wide receivers? We got two star wide receivers, and and the change in regimes. Is there any concern on your part that you think that that they may look at the fact that it's not wise to be paying all this money to two wide receivers, that it doesn't fit in with what the new regime sees as beneficial for the team? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, when you look at the current situation, when you have Baker under a rookie contract, Nick Chubb under a rookie contract, you're probably going to have two rookie offensive tackles who will be on rookie contracts as well. You can afford to, with Jarvis Landry, with Odell Beckham, kind of let this play out for a year until you have to really start paying guys. So I'm ready to just kind of let it roll another year. Now, if it doesn't really start to work next season with Odell, I'm okay if they make the decision to keep one, not the other, in terms of keeping Jarvis over Odell. But I'm just ready to let it roll for another season. Now, hopefully, with this new regime, maybe they could fix the relationship with Rashard Higgins that didn't really pan out over the course of the last season with them, and maybe he could definitely contribute, and that would allow other things to open up for those two wide receivers, Odell and Landry. So I'm ready to play out for a year to see how it goes, and then make a decision going into next offseason if it doesn't work again.
So, guys, I have my scorecard in front of me to try to keep track of the coaching staff and some of the other positions who have been filled, and I guess who the front runners are. It sounds like George Patton is probably the front runner to be GM. Browns are going to hire Bill Callahan as offensive line coach. Stump Mitchell, Mike Prefer are sticking around. Adam Henry's gone, which I think probably bothered a lot of people. But the Browns are bringing in Chad O'Shea as as wide receivers coach. He's a former offensive coordinator, for the Dolphins. And then the OC position still kind of up in the air a little bit, and it sounds like Joe Woods is going to be is most likely going to be the defensive coordinator. Jack, let's start with you. What's your take? Do you see any surprises coming? Aside from the names I just mentioned there, and how do you like what's happening? And what do you see? What do you see as the strengths or weaknesses going forward?
Yeah, I mean, with the staff so far, obviously we're waiting to see, are they going to hire an offensive coordinator, or is Stefanski going to make the play calls? I think they're waiting on McDaniel or LaFleur from San Francisco. I love the Bill Callahan hire. He's one of the best offensive line coaches, and I actually think it's an upgrade from James Campen. The Woods hire as defensive coordinator, it's kind of a wait and see approach. He's been a defensive coordinator before in Denver, was a little shaky there, and it's unknown at this point, was he calling the plays or was it Vance Joseph? But it comes with a recommendation from Wade Phillips, so that's a plus because we all know Wade Phillips' background. I'm glad they kept Prefer. I'm glad they kept Mitchell. My only worry is Stefanski going to call the plays? We've seen it the last two times with Kitchens and Hugh Jackson. Offensive-minded guys come in. They're the head coach. They're also the offensive coordinator. Is that going to be too much for them to handle? Or for Stefanski? We've seen it. It didn't work out for Hugh. Didn't work out for Freddie Kitchens. Maybe Stefanski will learn, but only time will tell here in the next couple of weeks if he's able to lure one of the guys from San Francisco to come on board.
Yeah. So, Anthony, there were a couple of rookie head coaches this season who called plays, and I think were pretty successful with it. So, how much of a concern is that for you going forward? Just because it hasn't worked in Cleveland, does that necessarily mean it can't work?
It doesn't mean that it can't work. It's just the experience that we've had here, time and time again. It hasn't worked. So, I hope that Stefanski surrounds himself with people that he is able to trust calling plays, or if he's calling plays himself, hopefully he can surround himself with people that can make decisions a lot easier, kind of streamline things. One of the big things that we saw this year with the Browns is I couldn't tell you how many times there was a lack of communication between Freddie, between Todd Monken, or whoever that was calling plays. We know it was Freddie, but there was some kind of lack of communication that I couldn't tell you how many times they went to the line of scrimmage with 6, 5, 4 seconds left and had to hurry up and snap the ball. That severely impacts Baker Mayfield and what he's able to do, what he's able to see. And I think that's what ultimately led to his struggles this season. So the biggest thing is I'm okay if Stefanski's calling plays. Hopefully the communication part is what improves from this last coaching staff to this coaching staff.
Yeah, you make some great points there. So Jeff, what's your take on either the guys that have been hired or maybe just the process, the length of time that the Browns are taking and putting the staff together this time? It seemed like it came together a lot quicker last season. And, how do you feel about it this time?
I'm not sure that last go around the head coach had as much influence on the hires as maybe this go around. We don't have a GM yet, so it's really on Stefanski to build his team, where I think Freddie might have had a few shotgun marriages. You bring in a mix of veteran guys, ex-head coaches, guys that have taken on bigger roles, and you bring them in at reduced roles. You've got other guys who are stepping up in responsibility. I think what's really critical in that whole mix is that, that guys are on the same page, and there's no backbiting. That's probably, this buzzword alignment is really code for, lack of personal agendas, which I think has probably contributed to a lot of issues in the past, where the head coach isn't really getting the support. I mean, we saw it with Todd Haley. I'm not sure there wasn't some of that last year as well. So I think by having Stefanski in there first and letting him really go out and build his staff, I hope that's the way it's happening. I don't know how else it could be happening right now. So if that's the case, hopefully he's got guys that he feels good with, that are going to be on his team, going to be supporting him. That's really, I think, more important than who's calling plays or, what roles guys are in. Is it that they're all rowing in the same direction?
Yeah. So, Jack, I have a question for you. Bill Callahan's a former head coach. I saw somebody mention the idea that Wade Phillips might come in as some kind of a special assistant. All these guys with, I don't know their personalities, but some major experience. Do you have any concern that Stefanski could get into a situation of some of these guys maybe being a little bigger than him and it being a question of sometimes of who's in charge? Or do you think Stefanski is, at this point ready to steer the ship regardless of who is on his staff?
I would think he's definitely ready to, steer the ship, but I also don't think he's shy to, have guys help him. If you bring in a Bill Callahan and you potentially bring in a Wade Phillips, I think that would help, ease the steering of the ship in year one as a first-time head coach. You look right to Minnesota, bringing Gary Kubiak on board and, Stefanski saying, I want to learn your terminology of the offense instead of having everybody that you're bringing in learn my terminology. I think that's one of the good things about Stefanski is he's open and willing to do whatever it takes for the betterment of the team, as it's come to show so far in Minnesota, and hopefully that carries over into Cleveland. So if he does bring in all these personalities, I don't think it would necessarily be a bad thing. But, we will see ultimately. I mean, a lot of us were high on Kitchens, and ultimately that didn't pan out. So it's just kind of a wait and see approach with how things will go under Stefanski.
Right. So Anthony, what was your first take? I don't know where you stood on coaches. How did you feel about the Stefanski hire when it was first announced?
I told Jack this story on our podcast. I slept in late that day because I had worked late the night before, and I woke up, I saw the news, tossed my phone back, went back to bed, kind of hoping it was a dream because I was really high on Josh McDaniels, really high on having that process here, and letting to see if that would work. So I was pretty indifferent on the hiring of Stefanski. I'm not one that's gonna let the Browns hype train or jump on that again like I did last offseason. So, look, the things that I have read have all been positive about Stefanski. Now, some of the play calling last season leaves a lot to be desired, but there's certainly good tools that he has. Some of his play calling has been good. Obviously, the production he's gotten out of guys like Dalvin Cook and Kirk Cousins is something to be positive about from an offensive play calling standpoint. So there's certainly positive things, and that's why he got the head coaching job. I'm just hoping that he's able to bring it all together here with the wide variety of talent that is on that Browns offense. But obviously, they need to fix the offensive line first. So I'm just hoping that he's able to piece everything together like we hope he can.
Yeah, I think we're probably all in that same position. That regardless of who you were pulling for, I think everybody would like to see this franchise turn things around. So hopefully it happens this time. So that's going to lead me into this next question. I'm going to start with Jeff on this one. I want you guys to each tell me why it will or will not be different this time around. So, Jeff, I'll let you go first.
Okay. Well, I don't want to take too much time here, but the statistics bear out the fact that it's not going to be different this time. If you look at the record of Jimmy Haslam since he purchased the team and the constant state of turmoil that the team has been in, you could make a case that not only are we not achieving any level of stability, but the team has actually become less stable pretty much every year in terms of the amount of turnover, not just with head coaches, with quarterbacks, front office, even presidents of the team. I could run down a list of all these guys. So I just feel like until the Haslams prove that they can invest in somebody and stick with that person, I don't see anything different happening. You can pick the greatest guy in the world, but if he doesn't have the support structure around him, he's going to fail. So my thought process is prove it to me that you can go out and win and that you can stick with a guy during that process. And then I'll believe that you've done something different.
Yeah. Okay, let's switch it up. I'm going to go to Anthony this time.
There's a lot of what Jeff said right there that I agree with. Not changing things after 1 year. Let it stick around for minimum 3 seasons, see if it's working or not. I think that's a good telltale sign of if things are going to work or not, especially when you're not going through a rebuild this time. There are a lot of pieces in place at Stefanski's disposal to have success. Now, that there's certain things that they have to address in terms of personnel, but there's certainly pieces here to where they can go out this season and win 10 football games. They have the talent to do that on paper. They had the talent to do that on paper last season. It just didn't work. So I think it's going to take 2-3 years to find out if it's going to work. And I'm going to really echo what Jeff said. Based on the history, with the constant change and turnover, it might not work because he's very quick at the trigger, very quick to change things up. He has a lot of different people in his ear, and I just think that's why it ultimately won't work is because of the constant change and turnover.
So, Jack, can you give us any any plan for optimism here?
I'm actually going to be the optimist here. Like a year ago, we were all optimistic coming off the 7-8-1 season. We thought we had, Dorsey was a great talent evaluator, and we made all these exciting moves in the offseason, promoted Freddie Kitchens to be head coach, and it all fell flat. So they've decided to wipe the slate clean. Kitchens and Dorsey both out. Essentially, Paul DePodesta is, even though he's not the team president, I think he's the team president. He's overseeing the operations now. He hired Kevin Stefanski. All signs are pointing to George Payton to become the general manager, who is coming from the Minnesota. They're both coming from the Minnesota Vikings, who has been a constant, stable winning organization. And you're getting Payton, who not only has found talent alongside Rick Spielman as the assistant general manager, but they've also built a talented roster. And that was something that John Dorsey couldn't do. He got a lot of talent, but wasn't able to build the full roster. Now you bring Payton in, you already have like the top end talent. So now Payton and Stefanski and the rest of the front office and coaching staff are going to hopefully build a legit football team. So I actually think this time around, everything is starting to become aligned. And I think as long as the Haslams stay patient, which is obviously the big thing, and that's something Jeff and Anthony have alluded to, I think the Browns can slowly turn into a stable winning organization. If they can do this the right way, if Stefanski and we say George Payton coming over, if they can bring what they've learned and utilized in Minnesota to Cleveland, and the Haslam shows some patience, and DePodesta, oversees everything and makes sure everything's running like a fine-oiled machine, I don't see how the Browns can't turn this around. Like, the talent's here, the resources are here in terms of cap and draft capital. Like, I see where this thing can turn around and that the Browns can become a winner the next couple years and hopefully beyond that.
So Anthony mentioned 3 years. How many years do you think it would take, not to achieve something, but how many years do you really feel like we need Stefanski and Patton to be here together to kind of get over a hump, to make it feel like there's finally stability in this franchise? I'm going back to you, Jack, on that.
I would say, because, we went 7-8-1 in 2018, we went 6-10 this year. If they say win 9 games in 2020, and then the following year they win, say, 10-11 games, I feel like right there, that just shows that, with time and work and, you getting players to buy in, getting the Haslams to buy in, there's no reason with the top end talent that we already have, and then they add in some depth behind that top end talent, that the Browns can't be a contender in the AFC. Like, not even the AFC North, but the AFC in general. Like, the talent's there. They just need the proper coaching, the proper front office personnel. Like, the things are there for the Browns to make a switch to where they could be potentially like a San Francisco 49ers to what the Kansas City Chiefs were when Andy Reid came in 6-7 years ago. Like, everything is there for the Browns to attack and make that jump, make that flip that happens in a year. So I don't see why it can't be done. The only thing is, are the Haslams patient enough if, say, like, there's a bump in the road next year where they only win like 7 games or 8 games?
Yeah, so you feel like they could be a contender, win a division or something within a couple of years. But how many years do do we need to see a head coach and a GM stay together before we can look at this franchise and see it as a stable franchise? So, Jeff, I'm going to ask you that question.
Well, Haslam's owned the team for 7 years, so I'm going to say 7 years, Rod.
7 years?
Because so 15 would just be ridiculous. But I think, 7, if he could, just keep his nose out for 7 years.
Keep a head coach and GM for 7 years.
Let somebody actually run the football organization and build a team and just not panic every 16 games. Then I'd start to believe that he's a different guy than what he's shown us over the past 7.
Anthony, how many years do you think?
I'm going to go with 5, which is the length of Stefanski's contract. I'll go if he can get to a second coaching contract, then I'll say that things are finally changing. So I'll say 5 years.
And Jack, how about you?
I'll say 4 because he's never let a head coach get into his 4th season. He let Hugh get into his 3rd season, so I'll say 4.
I would be thrilled with 4. 7 seems impossible. It seems normal for other franchises, but 4, I would be elated. So, all right, we're going to move on to a little. We'll just call it a game, guys. That I wanted to do, and we're going to do a little bit of Browns trivia to figure out who goes first. Okay. In this, so I'm gonna go last in this. So whoever misses their question first will go second last. So Jack, I'm going to start with you. And I'm pulling up questions that I think I've already asked on previous podcasts. And I should have had these ready, right, guys? Okay, Jack, what Browns kicker retired after the 1967 season as Pro Football's career points leader?
Lou the Toe Groza.
Yes, sir. All right. Anthony, what 2004 fourth-round pick of the Browns started 4 games as a rookie and was traded to Tampa Bay during the 2006 NFL Draft? This might be a little tougher one. What 2004 fourth-round pick of the Browns started 4 games as a rookie and was traded to Tampa Bay during the 2005 NFL Draft?
I haven't the faintest idea.
That's a tough one. Jeff, do you know that one?
Luke McCown.
That's correct. Jeff knows that one. So, all right. So I'm going to go back to Jack for this one. Oh, that's a Cavs question. Cavs and Indians question. Sorry, this is Cleveland sports trivia, guys. So I'm going to keep it to the Browns because this is a Browns podcast. In January 1987, Bernie Kosar set an NFL playoff mark with 489 passing yards and a 23-20 overtime win over which AFC opponent?
New York Jets.
Yes. That would have been unfair to ask Jeff that question because he was actually at that game. So, all right. Jeff, in the 1981 playoff game, what was the name of the play that resulted in the last-minute Raiders interception in the end zone, and which ended the Browns season?
Red Right 88.
Yep. Jack. In 1966, what pioneer of the frozen food... Oh, that's an Indians question. Sorry.
Vernon Stouffer.
Yeah. From 1999... Do you have these questions, Jeff? From 1999 through 2004, what University of Miami safety intercepted 18 passes in his 6-year stint with the Browns?
Oh, man. University of Miami safety.
From 99 through 2004.
Oh, damn. Dalen McCutcheon. I don't know.
He was a corner, but Jeff, do you
Oh.
know that one?
I'm drawing a blank on that one, Rod.
That would be Earl Little.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Okay.
And I never would have got the Luke McCown question. So, all right. So Jeff's going to go first in this, and then Jack, and then Anthony, and then me. And what we're going to play is a little exercise in alignment.
Okay.
Since that's the buzzword. So we're going to do a little bit of a fantasy draft for alignment, and we're going to do it Gilligan's Island style. Okay. Jack and Anthony, are you guys familiar with Gilligan's Island?
No, I am not.
I
I know I've maybe seen 2 episodes of the TV show, but that was way before my time.
Yeah.
Okay.
same
Sorry,
here.
guys.
That's all right. So the idea is this: these guys go out on this. They take these people out on this. Take a chartered boat out on a tour, and they get shipwrecked and they get stuck on this island. Okay, so so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a draft, and you're going to draft for alignment to get a group together that could coexist, either to coexist, to work together, to live together. That would be the people that you would want to go with you on this charter that would get shipwrecked. Okay. Now maybe it's because they're smart and could help you get back off the island. Maybe they would entertain you on the island, and maybe they would just be easy to get along with on the island. But what we're going to do is go from the Browns from 1999 through present. We're going to pick one GM, one head coach, and one quarterback, and then you can pick one wild card, one of any of the others. So hopefully you guys have those lists handy, like I asked. And so anybody who's with the team now, it is fair game. And
And we're going back to 99.
We're going all the way back to 99.
Okay.
So you've got a lot of choices. So, and you're going to put your team together, and then maybe what we'll do is maybe I'll put a poll up on Twitter afterwards to see who people think put the best team together to coexist on this island, and to maybe find their way off. So you guys ready? And
sure.
And maybe just give a couple words as to why you picked that person, because this is supposed to be fun.
All right. Okay. So
you go in any order you want.
All right. So GM first.
No, you can pick anybody you want. It doesn't have to be a GM.
Oh, okay. Anybody I want. Okay.
Yep. You can pick whoever you think the top pick is going to be, because you get the first choice. And we'll just go in a rotation. So after I go, Jeff will go again. We're not going to do a snake draft for this. It's not that serious.
Oh my gosh. So many choices. Okay. I'm going to go with my wild card first. Okay. Not a GM, not a head coach, not a quarterback. Is that okay?
Well, he should be in one of the wild card can be from any of those 3 categories.
Okay. All right. So not a team president.
No, just from one of
All
those
right.
three categories.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. So I got to pick someone else then. Okay.
Unless you want to pick like a sports writer, to like,
No.
but
No, that'd
you
be
don't.
okay.
No.
All right. So I'm gonna take my GM first.
Okay.
And it's because I think I would just love listening to his stories about when he played. And I'm going to take Dwight Clark.
Okay. All right. So that brings up Jack.
All right, I'm gonna go with my GM first as well, and I'm gonna take Tom Heckert. And I think he gets overlooked a lot when you talk about his time with the Browns, mainly probably because Holmgren was here. But Heckert did some good things. He's very good football guy, very smart, and he drafted a lot of good players that are still in the league today, which is kind of crazy because people tend to overlook his drafts. He never found the quarterback, but Heckert did a pretty good job in my book as GM.
Yeah. Nice. Anthony? Going to continue the run on GMs, or are you going to go look elsewhere?
Deceased GMs.
I'm going to stick with GMs as well, because if the pure goal is to get off the island, I'm going to take the smartest guy in the room, so I'll take Sashi.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. So, all right. Well, geez, I better. If I don't pick a GM now, you guys could all wild card me into Mike Lombardi over my GM or something here, or Ray Farmer,
or George Kokinis.
Yeah, somebody like that. Gosh. You guys think I studied for this? I didn't. I just wrote all the names down. That's pretty apparent right now. Yeah, process of elimination. I'm just gonna go with Phil Savage because I think he's pretty smart.
Nothing wrong with that pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Phil Savage. I think he's the best of the remaining guys who I would want to hang with. So, and pretty smart guy. So, all right. So back to Jeff.
Okay. Coach.
Or quarterback. Or wild card.
There's 30 quarterbacks to choose from. So I think, coach would be a lot fewer choices. So
couple you could probably scratch off the list.
Yeah. Fun guys, smart guys. Again, this is not about winning football games on the island, right? It's about, having a beer and maybe getting off the island one day.
Yeah. There's somebody who wouldn't cause problems, or somebody who might help you get
guys
off the island.
Guys who would peacefully coexist, and pretty sharp guys. I guess I'd probably have to go with Chudzinski.
Chud?
He seemed like a fun guy, and I think he's pretty smart too. He had some good years as an offensive coordinator, right?
Yeah, I think so. So Jack, where are you going next?
I'm actually going quarterback, and I'm gonna go Josh McCown. On the island,
darn it,
he ultimate good guy. Sorry, Jeff, I had to do it. Ultimate good guy. Someone that I feel like would be a lot of fun on the island, and if times get tough, dude is the ultimate leader. You just seen even recently with the Eagles, dude play with a torn hamstring and still almost won a playoff game. I mean, he's the ultimate leader. It always seems like he's positive. It just makes sense. If I'm going to build this charter, McCown's the ultimate quarterback for me.
Yeah. So Anthony, lots of choices.
Yep. I'm continuing going with the smartest guys with the eventual goal of getting off the island. And if you go to Stanford, you have to be pretty darn smart. So I'm going to go with my quarterback, Kevin Hogan.
Yeah, I saw that one coming. Yeah, so who am I left with? Let's see. Man, you guys are taking some of the smart ones. Well, let's see. You know what? They don't call you the man genius for nothing. I'm going to go with Eric Mangini. He's got to be something other than football smart, right, guys?
His football smartness is definitely in question.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with anybody who's called the man genius. He might be able to help me get off the island. So it's back to Jeff again.
All right, so I got to pick a quarterback.
Yep, you got a quarterback, or you can do your wild card next if you want.
Okay, I'm going to take a quarterback, and it's gonna really just throw you guys. But again, I'm thinking about having a beer and just laying on the beach and having a good time on the island, and maybe we'll get off the island someday. And I don't want anybody out there that if I ask them what time it is, they're going to tell me how to make a watch. So I'm going to go with Charlie Fry, University of Akron. The guy just always looked like he was having a good time, even when he was getting the crap kicked out of him.
Yeah, that's a nice one. I had a feeling Charlie might go in this draft. So Jack, you've got you've got a GM and a quarterback. So you got a coach and a wild card coming up.
Yeah, and I'm going head coach, and on the premise of my strong leadership that I continue to build on as it pertains to my head coach, I'm going with Greg Williams. I mean, we all seen that fiery attitude, that leadership down the stretch in 2018, and alongside McCown and Hecker, I'm putting a strong alignment of leadership together with my team. So Greg Williams is my next pick.
If you piss him off, you better hope it's a big island. Not a bad pick, though. So Anthony is up, and he needs a head coach and a wild card.
Yeah, if there's any one coach on this list that could absolutely put a process together to get off this island, and I use the term or buzzword process because I couldn't tell you how many times we heard it with this head coach, I'll go with Pat Shermer.
Just don't ask him to handle the press conference when you get rescued. Okay, so I think I'm gonna pick a quarterback. Let's see. Yeah, there's so many to pick from, you guys.
30 of them.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a bunch. I can't really back it up a lot, but I'm going to go with Brian Hoyer. I just think he's been around and been in a lot of situations. He's probably picked up a lot of knowledge, and good hometown guy, probably be fun to talk to, kind of laid back. So I think he'd be a good guy to have there.
I should have traded up.
You wanted Brian Hoyer?
My guy went one pick ahead of me.
Well, you got your wild card left, right? You can pick anybody you want.
Yeah. I wanted Brian Hoyer. I want another local kid. Me and him and Charlie Fry, we could just talk about Cleveland stuff all day long while we're sitting on the beach, and while Dwight Clark and Rob Chudzinski figure out how to get us off the island.
Well, there's got to be somebody local left.
Jeez.
Brady.
No, Brady. Okay, well, you know what? I'm thinking we're going to need a big, strong guy to row us off the island. So I'm going to go with Deshaun Kaiser.
Probably the biggest and strongest.
Yeah, again, we're not trying to win football games, right?
No, and that's That's probably good with your team.
Because Kaiser could throw a ball at the ocean and miss.
Yeah, I don't really see any of these teams that we're putting together as great football teams, probably. So yeah. All right. Jack, I think you're up for your wild card. So you got the pick of anybody who's left.
You know what? My wild card, I'm going to go with Tim Couch. I mean,
that's a good pick.
You got to have a solid backup. Although he could probably start over McCown even, but yeah, just though my team, I feel pretty confident we can get off that island. Couch, Williams, McCown, and Heckert. Like, you got to have some kind of strategic plan to get off there.
Yeah, I think that's good. So Anthony, you got one more pick. Anybody?
I'm going to go with a guy who really didn't have success as a quarterback, but he's had great success as a head coach, including winning the Super Bowl. So I'm going to go with Doug Peterson as my wild card.
And how's that Super Bowl winning going to help you get off the island?
Well, he's evolved himself from a poor quarterback to a great head coach. So if there's anyone that's been grown the most, he's him.
That's a good pick. It's a solid pick. I like it. So I've got the last pick. Anybody I want.
Johnny.
I thought one of you guys were going to take him, but everybody decided to go smart instead of party here. Yeah, I don't think he fits my team. So
yeah,
I think he's going to go undrafted. Very sad, but very, very sad.
He's going to have to play on another island.
You know what? I'm going to go with Mike Pettin. I just like Mike Pettin, just because I like him. He's probably, he's one of the most, one of the most successful guys to leave Cleveland. So, aside from the guy out in San Francisco right now. So yeah, I think he'd be fun to talk to, and probably pretty darn smart too. So, all right. Jeff's got Dwight Clark, Chudzinski, Fry, and Kaiser. Jack's got Heckert, Josh McCown, Greg Williams, and Couch. Anthony's got Sashi, Hogan, Shermer, and Peterson. And I have Savage, Mangini, Hoyer, and Pettin. So what do you guys think? Who's got the edge? Everybody thinks they...
Give me Anthony's again.
Anthony has Sashi Brown, Kevin Hogan, Pat Shermer, and Doug Peterson.
Wow. I think those four guys are going to argue about what color the sky is.
Kevin Hogan, Pat Shermer. Yeah. I don't know. Hard to say.
All smart guys, but boy, try to get them to agree on something.
I don't know. Go ahead.
We should have made this a game of the final question should be who picked the best quarterback. In order to get you off the island, you had to hit Johnny Manziel in the island that's floating on Swan. That should have been the way to get off the island.
I think we all win for not picking Johnny. So
yeah, definitely.
This kind of shows our IQs.
So whoever picked Kaiser would have.
No, I would have no chance. But I had Charlie Fry as my starter. Kaiser's my backup.
Yeah, I don't know. Kaiser, Fry, Couch, Peterson, Hogan, and Hoyer. Those were the QBs taken.
I'm just sad no one picked Spurgeon Wynn.
Not exactly Hall of Famers.
Not really. Yeah. We probably left some brain power on the board here too, but I don't know what schools. I don't know what schools all these guys went to offhand. So not every single one of them. So all right.
Well, I just wanted put Mike Holmgren in there somewhere, as team president. I think he would be more fun than any of these guys.
He'd be sitting on the island drinking out of a coconut or something with his
watching
Tommy
everybody
Bahama
else
shirt.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be. So, well, we're going to put a poll up, and we'll see what everybody else thinks about these. It'll be kind of hard for everybody to understand the backstory unless they listen to the podcast, but we'll kind of get a poll up, and I'll try to give as much explanation as I can, and we'll see who comes out the victor in all of this, guys. So, Jack, do you have any final words? Any parting words?
Just thanks for having me and Anthony on, Rod. Always a pleasure to chat with you. And go Browns.
Yeah, Anthony?
I guess would this be the appropriate place to plug everything, I assume?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I would love for you to do that.
Yeah. So, as Rod mentioned when we started, me and Jack both have a podcast, the 1085 Gridiron podcast. We run a website called the Dawgland. You can visit thedawgland.com. Browns news, updates, draft stuff for sure coming up. We'll be launching the Browns film room here at some point coming up as well. So I encourage you guys all to check that out. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Anthony Joki. Joki, absolutely appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Rod.
You're welcome. And Jack's Twitter handle is at JackMcCurry08. We'll put that out there.
Yes, sir.
Jeff, any final words?
Yeah, no plugs for me. No contacting me. I don't want to hear from anybody. So I'll just throw a couple statistics out just because I love doing that. At this point, Jimmy Haslam has owned the Browns for 7 years. He has owned the team for 112 games. The Lerners owned the team for 224 games. So since the Browns came back in 1999, the Haslams have owned the team for exactly half as long as the Lerners did. In those two time periods, over the course of 224 games, the first incarnation of the new Browns had a 3.26 winning percentage. In this Haslam era, the winning percentage is 2.54. Both time periods had 5 head coaches. There have been a total of 30 quarterbacks, 18 of them during the Lerner period of 14 years, and 12 of them during the Haslam period. Baker Mayfield is quarterback number 30, and Joe Thomas blocked for 20 of those quarterbacks. Now that's stability.
And Joe Thomas is stability. Excellent. Well, we're hoping that alignment and stability are things that are heading our direction, and we will close on that note. This has been the Browns Blitz. We thank you all for listening, and we will catch you next time.